Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whenever and wherever you're watching or listening. This is the Awesemo NHL DFS Strategy Show, and I am your host, Michael Clifford, aka Slim Cliffy, joining me today to talk about just how great the Arizona Coyotes are and how they're so much better than Colorado. A single entry assassin, Mr. Joshua Harris. Josh, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing pretty well. The Jamelka just has the Avalanche number. It just is what it is. Like, he has these massive games, and it's always against a chalk team. He's done it twice, I think, against the Avs. And he did it against the Jets that one time, which I was happy about because chalk Jets can get four-letter worded ED at the, you know what I mean? Like, they drive me nuts when they're chalk. But for Jamelka, what a goalie. I think he's actually a good goalie.
Yeah, I do too. Like, it's always tough to tell when players are playing on the dregs of the league, like how good or bad they actually are. But, you know, he typically had good numbers, you know, coming up as a goalie. He was thought of as a prospect, has played well this season. Could be a find for them because, you know, they had some pretty good goaltending. They had, you know, over the years, they had Kemper, they had Ronta, they had those guys, got rid of them. You know, eventually you have to find your next goalie. Maybe they found him here. Didn't work out so well for any of us that might have stacked Colorado last night. I actually didn't end up doing too poorly, got back almost all my entries. It was like 96%. And, you know, it's not bad considering I had about 40% Colorado won. And after the first 2 hours of the slate, I was straight up baggling. But Evander Kane really pulled through for me. Edmonton, you know, they didn't blow the doors off Chicago, but the right guys got the points, and that really helped me a lot. Calgary too really came through. Andrew Mangiapane with a 3-point night. Considering where I started the night, I will gladly skate away with 95% of my entries and just focus on tonight. How'd you do?
Yeah, if I used the Jamelka, I would have cashed. Or even Anton Forsberg.
Yeah.
I think he had 24 DK points despite giving up 3 goals in the loss. I almost got away with using Carter Hart. Almost. He like melted in the third period. Like, he was just like blah. So, I mean, I used Calgary power play, which wasn't great. I used the Patty Kane line. So I mean, I did all right. But if I had the right goalie choice, I think I would have min cash. Like, it's fine. Like, obviously I'd rather min cash, but you know, fighting to cash at the end of the night just means I get some extra sleep at night. I'll wake up and find out if I made it. And I didn't. It's a nice new night though.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I actually had one of, like, I do some betting, like, just on my own. I had one of my bigger underdog bets of the season on the Flyers last night. When you have a Flyers team with the lead after the second period, you know the next 20 minutes is going to be a lot of pain. I'm sorry, Mike, but it just was. Hopefully, the next time we get to the Flyers, their top line can do something for us. But we're not here just to talk about last night's slate. We are here to talk about the slate up ahead. And we are presented by Yahoo Fantasy. Yahoo is the show sponsor. They have been our sponsor this entire season. They've been very good to us. And if you're new here, haven't played much DFS, haven't played over on Yahoo specifically, we do have some free money, some giveaways for people that haven't played on Yahoo before. So stick around for some stuff that we can get through Yahoo. Also, if you guys could, please throw us that thumbs up, click the like button. The likes really help us. The subscriptions help us out even more. Subscribing helps grow this channel, helps keeps the shows coming on a regular basis. PGA, MMA, NHL, NBA, obviously. You know, I was holding out hope for MLB, but it looks like that's going to be like a summer return probably. So
Maybe.
Yeah, so maybe not any MLB anytime soon, but for puckheads, that's going to mean hopefully very good things for NHL playoffs. NHL playoffs, like the first round, usually there's some good contests. And then once you get past the first round and there's only a couple games each night, interest really falls off. Hopefully with no MLB in April or, you know, even going into May, we can have some big NHL contests. What's your read on that? Do you think we're going to get some good contests here from DraftKings and FanDuel for the, you know, last month of the regular season, first couple rounds of playoffs? All right.
I'm not going to hold my breath because NBA All-Star break bump is usually like nice. And we only got one night of contests that are good. The other nights were just absolute crap. So I don't know. Like, it depends where, like, obviously I don't know too much about the NBA season. I don't know when they go into the playoffs, but I would imagine towards the end of the NHL season, NBA will already be in the playoffs. So hopefully we get a nice bump because there's going to be no MLB. And it's kind of, MLB DFS is kind of similar. It has some similarities to NHL. So maybe, the people who only play MLB looking for something to gamble on will dive into NHL. So maybe the people at DraftKings will be like, we see some similarities here, but honestly, it's probably just a monkey blindfolded hitting buttons. So I'm not going to hold my breath, but I hope these sites do push the contest a little bit.
Yeah, I hope so too. And I was just checking on that NBA schedule. It looks like the final regular season game is Sunday, April 10th. And like the NHL still has, I think, 2.5 weeks of regular season after that. So like the NBA might be in the second round, starting the third round by the time the NHL playoffs get underway. And so if there's no MLB, then, maybe we do get some decent prizes. I guess we'll just have to see what the future brings, as has been the case for a little while here now. We have some free premium tools and data up on the site for non-subscribers to enjoy. So whether you're playing NBA or NHL or maybe some UFC this weekend, we have our NBA ownership rankings, our NHL top stacks, and our UFC pro plays all up on the site for free today for anybody to go view. So go check it out if you're not a subscriber. We also have a podcast giveaway going on right now. We're not giving away our podcast, but we have a giveaway we're doing through our podcast. All you have to do is head on over to the Awesemo podcast channel and leave a 5-star review with your Twitter handle or Awesemo username. And if you do all that, you can have a chance to win a free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. And finally, the new show that we have here at Awesemo, the Locks Before Lock NBA prop betting show. If you're into doing a bit of betting, we have an NBA prop show that starts 30 minutes every day before the NBA deeper dive. And that's followed by the Live Before Lock. So, we have 3 hours of NBA content every night now, whether it's prop betting or DFS or what have you. So head on over to the Odd Shopper YouTube channel to check out the Locks Before Lock show. And we've also added to oddshopper.com. If you're into sports betting, OddShopper is a free service here at Awesemo for anybody to use. You can, if you're in a legal state where there is sports betting, a legal state, not an illegal state, better clarify that. You can shop your bets, whether it's your lines, whether it's your prop bets, what have you. We've added NHL, so there are shot props, there are assist props, goal props, what have you. We'll talk a bit about those as we go through this slate. Let's get to the slate, Josh, because we have 7 games we have to talk about, and there's some spicy ones here. This first one, I think, is the definition of spiciness. We have the Minnesota Wild with a 3.7 implied goal total going into Buffalo. The Sabres have a 2.8 implied goal total. Minnesota has been on kind of a little road trip here. They played last night. Expect Kaapo Kähkönen in net tonight, as Talbot started last night. But this is 3 games and 4 nights. For Minnesota, plus back-to-back on the road. Maybe they're getting a little tired. On the flip side, there's that Buffalo top line that everybody loves to play, loves to talk about. There's also some Buffalo depth. So pretty interesting game here, Josh. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, man, this slate is crazy. This is like, it's going to be really tough to get down to one lineup if you're a one lineup player. This is definitely an MME slate. There's just a lot of spots. I don't know, like 3.7 total on the road is just insane, but back-to-back on the road, 3 and 4 nights. It is the Buffalo Sabres. What do you do? Like Minnesota 1 is priced down again. They're 17-3. They're around where they were yesterday. They're coming in, around 19% on DraftKings. Since Okposo moved up to that second line, I'm not 100% sure how they match. They send out Cousins against Hartman, or they send out the top line against top line.
I'm assuming it's going to be the top line against the top line. I'll go double check that while you finish up.
Yeah, I mean that's what my assumption too. I think that helps the top line. Like, I like the top line in Buffalo here tonight just because they're coming in way lower on the Minnesota top line. It is a 2.8 total, which is like for the Sabres is actually pretty decent. So I do like that top line fully correlated on the power play. Minnesota, not a very good penalty kill. They have Capo Kakinen going, who's like, I don't want to like trash the guy, but he's like, if you look at his numbers, he's not very good. So I'm in on Buffalo 1 here. That top line for the Wild had been pretty. I know they got there yesterday. It was more Hartman getting there by himself yesterday, but they haven't been great defensively. So I'm in on Buffalo top line. You want to go to that second line? I think that's interesting as well. They might not get the best matchup, but they're super cheap. You talked about Kyle Okposo. Last slate he was on. He's having a very good season. That line's super cheap. They get the second power play unit. You want to use them as a filler. I think that's fine. So surprisingly, 2 usable lines, maybe even like, again, like I don't even mind Peyton Krebs min price with Olofsson on that third line, 2-man, 5,300 for the 2 of them. If you're trying to get in some really, really expensive stuff, like I'm fine with it. Peyton Krebs on that top power play. On the Wild side, like realistically, this is a very, very good matchup. 3 and 4 does worry me a little bit. Craig Anderson worries me a lot a bit. So like,
been playing well lately.
Yeah. Like if they are more expensive, I think this would be an easier fade. But they're just so cheap compared to what they were, and you can fit in a lot of things with them. I think you have to consider them. I don't know if I'm going to get there in 1 to 3. I just think like coming in at 19%, I think I'd rather play the Buffalo top line for, 1,400 more and like a third of the ownership, or, like who else is in that price range? Like, I think I'd actually rather play the Rangers top line. They're very similarly priced. I'm gonna need a nap after this one, but like 19%. Like if you want to play them, it's a good matchup. I worry about 3 and 4 on the road. That's when it gets a little bit crazy. There's a lot of back-to-backs on this slate though, so I think it's fine. You want to go to that second line. I've been a big fan of that second line all year. Gaudreau, Fiala, Boldy, but they're coming in over-owned as well. Even that third line's coming in over-owned. So like if you're going to use the Wild, and I think it's fine because it's 3.7 total on the road. It's one of the bigger road totals I think we've seen outside of like the elite teams all season. Just be aware of what you're doing. You don't want to like just jam in. Like if your lineup comes together too easy, just be aware of what you're doing. Honestly, I love Minnesota. I just don't know if I'm going to get there in 1 to 3 because of all the factors like back to back and road and Kakinen. Like I just feel like it's going to be a high scoring game. I just don't know where it's going to come from on the Wild side.
Yeah, one thing I'll mention is it seems like there's at least in the betting markets, there's a lot of money coming in on the Minnesota side. Like it doesn't seem like people are too afraid of their 3 and 4 back to back here, which I get. It's kind of like the stoppable force meets the movable object because Minnesota is playing 3 and 4 and a back to back. Buffalo's bottom 5 by expected goals against in the league over the last 5 weeks. So it's like, is it, the bad defense that's going to trump here, or is it, a tired team? What's going to happen there? Buffalo's top line over their last 5 weeks, 60% shot share, 60%. Like they've been absolutely crushing, and they're going up against that Minnesota top line. The Minnesota top line over the last 6 weeks, about 52% of the shot share. Like we've talked about their play falling off, and yeah, Ryan Hartman did well last night, and they can still score. Obviously, especially against a weak defensive team like Buffalo. But as of right now, we kind of have to treat these lines almost as equals, right? Like I think at the very least, considering where Minnesota 1 is priced, which is, right in Buffalo's price range, like you have to kind of consider them almost equal lines. And then you go to ownership, and I see 7% on the Buffalo top line. I see 19% on the Minnesota top line. So like, it's a tough decision here for people just playing one lineup, single entries. We do have Buffalo's top line projected for fewer points than Minnesota's, but it's not like a huge difference. It's like a couple points off the median score. Like it's not massive. And when you're talking about GPPs and tournaments, like I think it makes sense to go with the line that's going to be less than half owned of the other one. So if I had to pick between the two, I would play Buffalo 1 here tonight. So I do like that Sabres top line. They are going to get that Minnesota 1 matchup. At least that's the way they were lining up, when they were at home. But yeah, they haven't been home in like 3 weeks. But that's the way they were lining up at home. So I do like, I like both top lines. I'm not going to say no to either top line here. For me, I just see them as kind of similar, and I'll go with the line that's coming in with way less ownership at home on top of that. So yeah, I'll take that Buffalo top line. As far as the second line goes, I do like them. I played Kyle Okposo and Dylan Cousins in the last game, and kind of worked out. I think Okposo had a goal and an assist in that one. I do like them coming back, coming right back here again, going into that second line from Minnesota. The second line from Minnesota, like very good offensively, but can also give it up defensively, like below average defensively, at least by expected goals against. So I think you'll find a, two-man something from Buffalo too, but it's really the Buffalo top line that I like. On the Minnesota side, like I said, I think it'd be top line for me in this game. Maybe some sort of power play stack. If you're worried about ownership or something like that, you can slide in a Boldy or an Eriksson Ek. I don't think it really matters. Like it just kind of matters what position you need. So that's where I am. Maybe Minnesota 1/Minnesota power play, Buffalo 1. Also don't mind some Buffalo 2 here. On the blue line, it seems like Buffalo's in this situation where Rasmus Dahlin's getting all the ice time and then everybody else plays 18, 19, 20 minutes, which kind of makes things a little bit of a crapshoot. It's either play Dahlin or flip a coin. You know what I mean? So maybe I'll be correlating. I think Matthias Samuelsson might be fine, him or Fitzgerald there on the second pair if you need a deep punt. On the Minnesota side, Jared Spurgeon only played 19 or 20 minutes last night, which I found kind of curious. Dmitry Kulikov played a bit more. I think it's still just a situation where I'd be correlating. I there's no one from the Minnesota side that jumps out and says, I have to play. Could Matt Dumba play here tonight? He was a game time decision-ish last night, and he could come in at min price. So I'd say that would be the one guy for sure. If they say he's in the lineup that I would play, would be Matt Dumba. Who you got?
Yeah, it would be Dumba or Corley if Dumba's in. We won't know because they're back-to-back until warm-ups. So he didn't skate at warm-ups yesterday, but did practice. He might play tonight. So just keep an eye on that because at min price for, he'll play 20 minutes. So that's the guy if he is in.
Yeah. Just checking out chat, said Slim Cliffy, give me some golf picks, baby. It's actually a buddy of mine here from home. Sorry, I don't play golf, but yeah, lots of love out to you in New Maryland as well. Mrs. says, I was in a hurry, had to hand build a lineup, ended up on Sherratt and Carlo, which carried me to a top 15. Yeah, that'll do it. Gabagool hit an $1,150 parlay last night off $40. Had Oilers over 6, and they tied it 3-3 in the final minute. That's the way hockey goes. Just remember those good nights when it goes the other way sometimes. So
that's just Gabagool. You know what I mean?
That's just something. Just a little bit of a piece of advice here. Let's get to this next game. Detroit 2.5 implied goal total. Going in. Oh, Jake said, I think they said Dumba's out. They said he's possible for Sunday at home. All right. Don't worry.
Always a bearer of bad news, that Jake Harry.
Detroit 2.5 implied goal total going into Tampa. The Bolts have a 4.0 implied goal total. Tampa also played last night. Anthony Cirelli, this is really starting to get annoying. It's been 3 or 4 games now. They're yo-yoing him and Matthew Joseph all around the lineup. Anthony Cirelli went back to the second line last night to play with Steven Stamkos, moving Joseph back down. Now, they've actually both played a fair amount on that second line, and I was looking at those numbers, and it's basically what you would assume would happen with Anthony Cirelli. When Cirelli joins that line, they get worse offensively, but much better defensively. And when Matthew Joseph joins that line, they get better offensively, but worse defensively. So I guess we'll have to see when warmups hit what they decide to go with. But again, they've switched it up, I think, 3 times in the last 4 games. So there's no telling what it'll be even after the first period. That kind of worries me here because we have a massive total here on this Tampa Bay team. On the flip side, Detroit going in with a 2.5 implied goal total. We just saw Pittsburgh do a lot of damage to Tampa Bay, and Brian Elliott's probably going to be starting for the Bolts. Can Detroit do it here? What do you think, Josh?
I mean, if they're going to yo-yo Cirelli down to that 4th line, maybe, because that 2nd line is really cheap. Bob Fabry, 2,900 top power play against Moose. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I can't stand that Nemestikov's on the top line. Like, just give me some lines, Blashill. For the love of God, he pisses me off. Anyway, I really like Tampa 1 tonight. Like, their numbers together are ridiculous. Like, we talk about like LA2 creating and all this, like Point and Kucherov together, just the amount of scoring chances they create are just bonkers. They got caved in last night. Maybe they want some revenge and they'll take it out on the Wangs. Maybe. I do really like Tampa 1 though. They are our top 2 stack per our top stacks tool. Coming in with some positive leverage. It is a back-to-back. They are home though. They didn't have to go anywhere. And they aren't the most expensive on the night. Carolina is still more expensive for some reason. So again, getting down to 1 to 3 is going to be quite a scene tonight, but I think they're definitely in the mix. I think you can power play stack if you don't want to leave Palat on. I think leaving Palat on is fine though. Like, just going the 2-man at Point Kucherov is not going to really make you different. I think adding in Palat will make you different, or adding in Killorn. And Stamkos is still in that price range where he's still reasonable. Like, we've seen him in the high 7s at times this year. So, going Stamkos over Palat makes them, 22 and change for the 3 of them. But there are enough value lines tonight, a lot that we'll get to later, that you can get in there with them. And not many people are going to have like a double center Tampa stack. So I think that's one way to get a little bit different in a 4 total. Like, if I knew Cirelli is going to be there the whole game, I might even be interested in Tampa 2. But like, we just don't know. It's back to back. The coach, Cooper got ejected yesterday. Like, is that when's the last time a coach got thrown out?
I don't remember one, like not in the last few years anyway.
Like, probably since Torch tried to fight the whole locker room.
That was a good one.
Well, I don't know. So I'm in on Tampa 1. I'll pluck some guys off Tampa 2 to make it a power play stack. On the wing side, it's probably gonna be that Tampa 2nd line, or excuse me, the Detroit 2nd line that interests me. There is some question marks with Tampa 2, Cirelli, Joseph. If it is Joseph, like, it's a plus matchup for Detroit 2, who haven't been great recently, but Fabry's cheap enough, Suter's cheap enough, Bertuzzi's in that, he's fine. You get 2 guys on the power play. It's not Vasilevsky in that. So, I mean, it could be, but it probably won't be. So, Detroit 2 in MME for me. I don't think I'm going to get to much Detroit in 1 to 3. There's just way too many other options for me.
Yeah, I'm going to start on the Detroit side, and I'm just looking at our lineup builder here. And you were railing against Vladislav Nemestikov. He brings down the projection of that top line so much. We actually have the top line for Detroit projected for fewer fantasy points tonight than the 2nd line as a trio, like as a full trio. Like, obviously we have, Dylan Larkin projected for quite a bit and Lucas Raymond for a bit, but it's with Nemestikov, it's just dragging everything down, and they're probably going to go into the teeth. I shouldn't say that. Tampa does tend to mix up their line matching a little bit, but they're going to get, that top 6. I think it would be the Detroit 2nd line I would go to. They're cheaper. Actually, I shouldn't say that. I do like the Detroit 2nd line. They're not cheaper. The problem is I just don't want to play Vladislav Nemestikov, and I'd rather go get some of that Stamkos 2nd line. They're going to get a bit of that matchup. Like you said, 2 of the guys on the top power play unit as well. I'm just going to be honest. There's just not I'm not Xing out Detroit tonight, but I don't know if this is the spot where I'm going to go for my low owned lines. You know what I mean? Like it's only a 2.5 total. Tampa's still one of the best teams in the league. Like, you know, every team has a bad game every once in a while. And like, it was still Pittsburgh. Like Pittsburgh's a pretty good team. I'm not too worried about Tampa. I do like Tampa 1 here tonight a lot. They're coming in with positive leverage by our top stacks tool. 13.8% ownership, over 20%, top 2 stacks, very reasonable price at a flat 20K over on DraftKings. You were talking about their expected goals, 3.1 expected goals per 60 minutes this year, like 4.8 actual goals scored. Like they're just absolutely blowing the doors off the opponent. There's just not a lot that worries me matchup wise from the Detroit side or anything like that. So I think we're fine to go right back to Tampa. And I'm wondering, you know, maybe people will get off of them after they just completely
and it's 3 and 4 for them too.
Imploded last night. Yeah, that too. But I still do like Tampa going into that Detroit matchup. It's just, there are some good top lines that I want to play here tonight, all in around that price. And the way I build my lineups, like I typically only have a couple cores. They're going to be considered. I don't know. I think I might actually get to some Carolina. We'll talk about them in a little bit, but yeah, like Tampa, absolutely in a smash spot. Really do love that top line. I think you're fine to power play stack here as well. You know, that typically that Tampa power play has been excellent this year. The Detroit penalty kill, you know, at times has been pretty good this year. Of late, not, you know, definitely not awful, but not good by any stretch of the imagination. Their actual goals against is near the bottom of the league. They expected goals against in the bottom 10. They just don't take a lot of penalties. That's the problem. But still, Tampa 1, love them. I'm not sure I'm going to get too much Detroit, maybe some Detroit 2. On the blue line, man, like Ryan McDonough's getting a little bit too expensive for me on DraftKings for a home matchup. On the Detroit side, one of the odd shop props that I want to talk about is Philip Hronik. It actually, we had him as an under bet for 1.5 shots. It kind of speaks to his non-peripheral floor, like that doesn't exist. I don't know if even Hronik's fine. Like, I don't know. This is a game where I want to go for a defenseman unless I'm correlating with a top line. What do you think?
Yeah, I honestly think it's going to be Hedman for me only. If I had to punt someone from this game on either side, it'd be Eric Chernak at 3,100. But other than that, like, it's, you know, it's a mess to say, to just be a little nice. It's a mess.
Just to be kind, it's a little bit of a scene there on that lines, at least for fantasy. Get access to all the great Awesemo Plus tools and content for nearly every DFS sport out there with an Awesemo Plus weekly pass for $29.95. This includes full access to all the premium content and tools on Awesemo.com, including player projections, ownership projections, our top stacks, our lineup builder, and a whole lot more. Of course, if you're only looking to play NHL DFS, then you can sign up for one of our Awesemo Plus NHL packages for as low as $3.95 a week. Please note that Fantasy Cruncher is an add-on and can be easily added on to any of these packages at checkout, but it is not included in the base package. However, it is very valuable to your DFS arsenal for anyone looking to multi-enter contests. So stop guessing, start winning, join Awesemo Plus today. All right, let's get to this next game. Jersey. The Devils have a 2.6 implied goal total. They're going into New York to face the Rangers. The Rangers have a 3.4 implied goal total. Looking at our top stacks, it looks like there's going to be some popular Rangers played here tonight. We have both top lines amongst the top 5 owned stacks on the slate. I think the second line is probably coming in a bit over owned, but the thing with the Rangers is it's the power play that we tend to focus on. So like you don't have to just full stack the second line. I think there are some interesting stacks you can do here. What do we do about your Rangers, Josh?
I mean, like, I just don't want to play 18% Ryan Strome. Like, I'm not getting into it. I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to do it. We're going to talk about the Rangers here. I do like the top line. And I almost never like the top line for DFS purposes because they've been absolute crap 5-on-5. But since Alexis Lafreniere went up there, they've started to improve. Like they were pretty good with Capo Caco up there. Still not great 5-on-5. Pretty decent defensively with Caco, but now with Lafreniere there, they're much better offensively. He passed the eye test for me. Like he looks like he belongs up there. Obviously, it's tough to look good playing with, Greg McKegg and Kevin Rooney, but like, up there on the top line, they're probably going to get a fair bit of the Jack Hughes line. The Rangers don't really hard match. So, the Zibanejad line may get some time against the Zacha line, the Hischier Zacha line. But for the most part, they're going to go against the Hughes line. And the Hughes line with Sharangovich and Mercer, they've been giving it up defensively. So if there is ever a time for the Rangers to do something 5-on-5, it's in this game. I'm fine with full stacking that line. I like the look of Lafreniere up there. I obviously get Mika Zibanejad and Chris Kreider on the top power play. Those guys are always involved. You want to leave off Lafreniere, add in a Panarin. You want a power play stack, that's fine. I don't think I'd full stack the second line. Like Dryden Hunt is a fourth liner being overextended into the top six. I don't think you need to go there. But if you want to do like Strome Panarin, Kreider, Strome Panarin, Zibanejad, that's fine. I'm going to concentrate on the top line here. If I'm going to use them, I'm probably just going to full stack them. I want the savings with Lafreniere at 3,200. And he'll also be the lowest owned guy on that line for sure. On the Devils side, in theory, I like that second line. I'm just hoping when Gallant speaks, he's going to be like, yeah, we're going to give Igor a break tonight, and it's going to be Georgiev. And then I'm going to be like, going to play some Devils too tonight. Because that line has been really, really good. They're going to get the Strome Panarin Hunt line, and that they've been a mess defensively. The Rangers as a team are a mess besides Igor, but if it is Igor starting, he can be scored against when Jake comes in and was like, is Igor going to give him a goal this season? Another goal, boom, boom, boom. Blues scored 3 goals in a minute after that. What a mush, Jake. Bad news and a mush.
One of the best mushes I can ever remember, honestly.
Oh, it was crazy. He pops in the chat into our Discord, goes, man, is Igor going to give up another goal this season? Literally 30 seconds after that, Blues ripped off 3 goals in a row.
Just an all-time mush.
But yeah, in MME, even if it's Igor starting at 2%, I think I'd have a little bit of Devils too. If it's Georgiev, definitely interested in Devils too.
Yeah, it's the Rangers top line that really attracted me in this matchup in the first place. They have been better with Lafreniere on the top line. 54% of the shot share, 53% of the scoring chances. This isn't a line that typically has had the run of play over the course of the season, regardless of the wingers. Lafreniere has really helped on that top line. And they're going to go into that New Jersey top line. You mentioned the bad defensive numbers, 33 scoring chances against per 60 minutes. They're giving up something like 30% more scoring chances than the Rangers top line. And we just talked about how leaky the Rangers have been at times this season. So yeah, I think you're going to get a pretty high paced matchup between the Zibanejad and the Hughes lines. And I'll take the home line in that matchup. So I really do like the top line, but as I've talked about before, and you've talked about, the Rangers really do rely a lot on the power play. The Jersey penalty kill is fine, but the Rangers have a very good power play, like a top 5 power play in the league. So, if you're worried about rostering an 18% Ryan Strome and a 20% Artemi Panarin or whatever, add, a Mika Zibanejad or a Chris Kreider in there, or make sure that your stack has Adam Fox or something like that. I think that's kind of the way that you get around worrying about 18% Ryan Strome, 11% Dryden Hunt, 20% Artemi Panarin. Not that the Rangers second line is in a bad spot or anything like that. Yeah, I'd just rather pay up for the top line that I think is a much better line. No offense to Dryden Hunt, he's fine, but if they're going into the playoffs with Dryden Hunt on the second line, it won't, they're not going to last very long. So I do like the Rangers top line here a bit. I agree with you on the Devils second line. If we get some sort of notice that Georgiev is starting here tonight, I do like that Devils second line. For the full season, 58% of the shot share, 61% of the expected goals. They haven't been as good of late, like over the last 50 minutes or so. But I mean, over the course of the season, they have been good. And as you mentioned, that Rangers second line, not great defensively. So if we get some sort of confirmation that Georgiev is starting, then yeah, I'll have some interest in Jersey too. Of course, Shesterkin is always a problem. On the blue line, I always like Jacob Trouba for his peripherals. The problem is like he's not that much cheaper than Adam Fox. And I think this is probably a matchup where I'd want to focus on the power play. It's probably a situation where I'd put Adam Fox in with my Ranger stacks. And, you know, if I wanted a one-off mid-price defenseman, I would just go to Trouba. On the Devils side, Dougie Hamilton, like he's only playing 20 or 21 minutes without top power play time. I guess he can get there with peripherals, but again, if Shesterkin starts, I don't like their chances of scoring a bunch of goals. So I don't know, maybe some Siegenthaler, maybe he can run into some block shots or something like that, but that's about it. What do you think?
Yeah, Siegenthaler, I don't mind Ryan Graves at 3,900 either. Like, not super excited about him, but like if you had to use someone in that price range, I think he's fine. And I agree with you. If I was MMEing, I'd make a rule Adam Fox with Ranger stacks, Trouba one-off type rule, whatever. That's probably about it. Like, I don't know, like I want to play Keandre Miller because he's under 3K, but like he just hasn't been doing anything with his ice time. A true Mikey Anderson situation.
Ooh, that's tough.
Come on, Grasshopper.
Yeah, he's one of those guys. He's just a better real life player than he is a fantasy player at this moment of his career. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like they're not deploying him correctly, but I'm not a coach in the NHL, so who am I to say? I don't know. I could go on for hours about the Rangers.
You want to just get to the next game then?
Whew, let's do it.
All right, let's get to the next game then. Pittsburgh 3.0 implied goal total going into Carolina. Carolina Hurricanes have a 3.4 implied goal total. Pittsburgh played last night, went into Tampa, beat down Tampa 5-1, I think it was. Looked really good doing it. Like it wasn't one of those games where they got lucky or something like that. They legitimately outplayed them. But again, back-to-back on the road is always tough for any team. And you're going to Carolina, a legitimate cup contender here. The interesting thing about this game is both top lines are not coming in with much ownership. At least on DraftKings, we have the Carolina top line coming in under 8%, the Pittsburgh top line coming in around 2%. And the reason is they're both fairly expensive. I see a lot of goal totals on both sides, though. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah. We were like, oh, yeah, I'd rather play Tampa one instead of Pittsburgh one yesterday. And bing, bong, boom. Immediately just got, crow shoved in our face. But, like, I think both top lines are fine here. They're the two most expensive lines on the night, I think. Yes, they are. But, I like this matchup better for Pittsburgh than I did, going into Tampa. It's crazy to say because the Canes are an excellent team, but it's just a better matchup for Pittsburgh tonight. I would defer. I know they're more expensive, but I think Pittsburgh 1 is the line I would prefer out of this game, just because they're coming in at very low ownership. It's back-to-back on the road, but there's a lot of back-to-backs, a lot of 3 and 4s tonight. I don't think it's going to be a huge concern. It's going to be that top line for me. You want to go to that second line. They had a good game last night, but I think it was because of Matthias Joseph, and that's why Cirelli got moved up. So, I don't know. Pittsburgh 1 for me. You want to add in Malkin. He's been doing some heavy lifting on the power play recently. So, the thing is, Hurricanes, very good penalty kill. Bad news, they take a lot of penalties. I don't know. Antti Ranta has not had a very good season. If it is him in net tonight, I kind of like Pittsburgh more. On the Carolina side, I think you go to that top line as well. They've been excellent. It still feels like, looking at their ownership the past few slates, that people are thinking they're overpriced, but they are 10% cheaper than Pitt 1, and they're at home. So I think 7% is perfectly fine for this line. Casey DeSmith, if we're being nice, is a borderline NHL backup. So, and that top line has created a ton of, they have no issues creating. They have some issues defensively, but that's fine. We don't play them because, they really back check well. You know what I mean? Like, we're playing them to score goals. So that top line in Carolina definitely a play for me. Not too much on the depth, really. You want to use Trocheck, like, fine for some more power play, but like with Kotkaniemi up there, maybe, like, I don't know. I'd much prefer the top lines in this game. If you want to go to the depth and MME on either side, that's fine. Like, Evan Rodriguez hasn't scored since, he left the top line, which is a sad story. So I think I'm just top lines here.
Yeah, Evan Rodriguez, 1.8% shooting in his last 23 games. He scored 1 goal in that span. I was actually looking at his numbers. His individual expected goals have actually halved. Like, there's a reason why he's shooting 2%. It's because the quality of his shots are really, really bad. And it's been the case for over 20 games now. So not that we're super psyched to play Pittsburgh 3 back-to-back on the road going into Carolina. But it is one of those third lines, you could see, you can envision in your head a line of Carter and Rodriguez and somebody like Dan Heinen doing well as a third line, but they're just not. So, we'll be out on them. So to your point about the matchup, why it might be better tonight for Pittsburgh 1, it's because Carolina's top line plays at a very high pace. Like, they race up and down the ice. 3.7 expected goals for, which is super high. Like, we extol the virtues of LA2 at about 4. Carolina's at 3.7, the Carolina top line. But their expected goals against is at 3.4. So, they're giving it up. And that, but again, that's the problem. The problem you mentioned with Pittsburgh, back-to-back on the road, and Carolina has, the best penalty kill in hockey. Not only that, statistically, one of the best penalty kills the NHL has seen, like, in the last 15 years. So it's a big problem for me to say I'm going to spend $23K on Pittsburgh 1 in that situation. I'll just go to Carolina and play a 7% line instead of a 2% line. This is a situation where I'm not really that concerned about ownership. I don't care if it's 2% Pittsburgh 1 against 7% Carolina 1. That really doesn't make a huge difference to me when I'm building my lineups. So I'll take the cheaper home team that's not playing a road back-to-back. But I agree with you. I think both top lines are very much in play here, especially if you're building 20, 50, 100 lineups, whatever it may be. I'll just say I do like the Carolina top line. 1 for pricing, 2 for the home matchup, 3 for not being back-to-back on the road. That's just what it comes down to. So that's where I am. I like Carolina 1. I'm probably going to be out on Pittsburgh 1. Pittsburgh 2 has actually played well in their small sample together. But the problem is they're probably going to get a fair bit of that Carolina third line, that Jordan Stahl, Nino Niederreiter line. And man, they just sludge it up.
Yep.
It make it really, really tough for any line going into Carolina. So that's what's kind of keeping me away from Pittsburgh 2. So now here we are back to Pittsburgh 3. Actually don't really hate that matchup. They're going into that second line of Trocheck, Necas, and Kotkaniemi. I mean, maybe they'll be fine. But Trocheck and Necas have, in their sample together, underwater by scoring chances allowed. I think, like, even a one-off Erod or one-off Carter, I think is fine here. I don't mind the Pittsburgh third line for your super deep fillers if you're playing 150 or 20 maxing or something like that. So anybody can play Carolina 1. I really like them here tonight. Pittsburgh 3, I think, is fine as a fillery type if you're playing a lot of lineups. On the blue line, one thing I noticed is, like, Jacob Slavin's ice time hasn't really, like, spiked. You know what I mean? Like, I thought he'd be playing like 25 minutes a game by now. It's been up and down. Tough to play him for 5,300 as a one-off here. I don't know if there's a lot I play as a one-off on that side. With Michael Matheson out for Pittsburgh, I imagine Marino and Pedersen get a fair amount of minutes on that second pair for them. So I think Marino or Pedersen, if you need a full deep punt on the Pittsburgh side is fine. But I think, I think it's just correlating with my stacks. What do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. The defensemen in this game don't really interest me. You want to correlate, that's fine. Brett Pesce would be the guy I'd probably want off, but that's really about it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Speaking of Yahoo earlier, we have partnered with Yahoo. fantasy this NHL season to bring you some great offers. Check out our exclusive limited time offer, which gets you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. To qualify, you need to be new to Yahoo. Sign up for an account via the link below, deposit and play. That's it. Yahoo will send us your name after you played in your first paid contest, and we will reach out via email with your coupon. If you'd like to speed up the process of getting access, email support@awesemo.com, and we'll get you set up right away. You can also claim a free $10 of site credit by clicking the link in the video description below, and that can be used to enter any Yahoo contest, including tonight's $5,000 NHL Baller. Make sure to use our DFS tools and projections designed specifically for Yahoo to give yourself the best shot at winning big. All right, let's get to this one. I know this is the one our boss, Jake Harry, has been waiting for all show long. Los Angeles Kings, 3.3 implied goal total going into Columbus. The Blue Jackets have a 2.7 implied goal total. Here we go. Los Angeles is changing up their lines. They're putting Jared Anderson-Dolan on the top line with Kempe and Kopitar, leaving the second line the same and moving Alex Iafallo down to the third line. Now, I think they're doing this for two reasons. One might be to showcase JAD for a trade. Like, I think the Kings might not load up, but, you know, maybe add a middling piece or two at the trade deadline for a playoff push. So I think that's part of it. I also think Iafallo can help on the third line, like give him a legitimate third line with Byfield and Brown. But it does make the top line weaker. Jared Anderson-Dolan is not Alex Iafallo. There's a reason Jared Anderson-Dolan typically has played on the third and fourth lines when he's been healthy for them. There's been a very good reason for that. On the Columbus side, Zach Werenski back, but no Adam Bachfist or Jake Bean. So Werenski might play a lot of ice time here tonight. And of course, Jake's favorite line, Columbus won. What do you think here, Josh?
Oh God, Columbus won. I can't get behind. It's a decent matchup for them. I just can't get behind them. Like it would just feel bad getting on the train now after fading them. It's like it's gonna work one of these times. I'm fading them. I kind of like the Columbus second line: Voracek, Roslovic, Bjorkstrand. Bjorkstrand is now on the top power play. They're going to get that Kings second line, which is normally a no-no, but they've started to, play at a much higher pace. Like, they obviously have been electric offensively all season. Like, defensively, they started giving it up more. Like, so it's more up and down, instead of just being in the opponent's zone the whole time. If I had to go to a Columbus line, I think it would be that second line coming in around 3%. Two guys on the power play. Don't mind it. I love Jack Roslovic. I love you, man. He's my guy. Like, I don't know why. I just really like him. So yeah, maybe I like that line better than most people, but Columbus 2 for me out on like Columbus 1's fine, especially at that ownership. Like, we're just gonna have to realize that Patrick Laine is never going to be above water on any line sample for the rest of his career. All he does is just score goals. But like, that being said, like I really like Patrick Laine as a player. He's been shooting 40% for a month now. Like, it's gonna regress at some point. He's not the best. Like, he is one of the best shooters in the NHL. Like, don't get me wrong, he's got an electric shot, but 40%, no. So like, eventually it's gonna regress, and I need to wait for the regression before I get back on the Columbus 1 train. On the Kings side, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure what Jared Anderson-Dolan gives the Kings top line offensively that Alex Iafallo couldn't. Like, I feel like Alex Iafallo is a more complete player in all aspects of hockey right now. So I don't know. Jared Anderson-Dolan is min price. It definitely brings down the price to that top line. They are going to get the line, which has awful defensive numbers. So yeah, maybe you can go to Kings 1 here for what, 13-2 for a top line with two of the guys on the top power play against the, questionable team defensively. Don't mind it. Could be a little contrarian. Like, getting all three of those guys is going to be a low 0-3 man. I think a lot of people are just going to go Kopitar, Kempe, Doughty, and leave off Jared Anderson-Dolan. Adding him in, I don't know. If you want to do it, I think it's going to lower the collective ownership a bunch. For me, Kings 2 again, like, broken record. They're creating over 4 expected goals all season. It hasn't really moved, which is crazy. So I'm in on Kings too. The Kings third line is interesting because they're going to get the depth of the Blue Jackets, and the depth of the Blue Jackets is just brutal. So Kings 3 is an interesting filler.
Jared Anderson Dolan over at Evolving Hockey. I'm looking at his offensive and defensive impacts over the last 3 years. Expected goals for, shot attempts for, expected goals against, shot attempts against, all more than one standard deviation below average. Like this guy, like I said, there's a reason why he was third and fourth line on a bad Los Angeles team over the last couple of years. Like he does not belong on that top line. It just frustrates me because this is a great matchup for them going into that top line for Columbus. So honestly, I think this is a case where if I don't power play stack Los Angeles, I think I'm just going to go down to Kings 2 because Kings 2 has still been great this year, still generating 44 scoring chances per 60 minutes over the last 100 minutes together. The defense has started to fall off a bit, and that's why I agree with you. I like Columbus 2 here tonight as well. That second line of Roslovic, Voracek, and Bjorkstrand, 2 of the 3 on the top power play unit. Roslovic and Voracek have actually had good offensive numbers this year, like well above average, both expected goals and actual goals. They do give it up defensively. That's why Kings 2, I think, is a good matchup here tonight. I like both second lines. If you want to do some sort of Kings power play stack, I think that's fine. But it's the second lines for me in this game. On the blue line, I think Werenski's fine if you want to one-off him, considering he's probably going to have to play a fair amount of minutes here tonight. I think Peak might be fine at 3,500 if you want to on DraftKings, if you want to get some cheap shot blocks. What do you think?
Yeah, Peak or Gavrikov are a little expensive for them, but I think they're both fine. Peak, when he's with Werenski, it was blocking like 3.5 shots or almost 3 shots per game. So I think it would be Peak. Sean Dursey's a fine, like not a fine punt, but he's okay. 3,300. Doughty if you're correlating.
Yep. Let's get to this next one. Dallas, 3.1 implied goal total going into Winnipeg. The Jets have a 2.9 implied goal total. This is a very problematic game because we have 5 games. This is a 7-game slate. We have 5 of the 7 games starting at 7 o'clock Eastern. This one is not, but we have Tyler Seguin and Miro Heiskanen both as game time decisions. Miro Heiskanen had recently joined the top power play unit in Dallas, taking Tyler Seguin's spot. So if they're both out here tonight, don't really know who's going to join the top power play for Dallas. And it would also just weaken that team in general. Nikolai Ehlers back for Winnipeg. He's going to line up on the third line with Andrew Kopp and Adam Lowry. What do you like? Of course, it is flowchart season.
Oh, man. Holding it up. It is flowchart season, my friends. Like, okay, at least Winnipeg one's not going to be chalk, but they're gonna see a good bunch of the Rupe Hintz line, which is a terrible matchup. They'll still find a way to get there. I'm out on Winnipeg 1. I like Winnipeg 2. Like Sagan and Heiskanen, if they're both out, like the depth of the Stars is just gonna be even worse. Nikolai Ehlers being back on that third line, he has really, really good numbers with Andrew Kopp. And he has good numbers with Lowry. So I think that third line is gonna be pretty good. They're going to get a bunch of depth matchups as well. So I honestly think like this is my favorite third line on the night. I'm either going to go Winnipeg 2 or Winnipeg 3. It does kind of suck. We probably won't get news on Sagan or Heiskanen until 7:30 p.m. Eastern. But I don't think it changes too much from the matchup sides. It will change, like, someone on the Stars is going to have to move up to the top power play. Could be Ben, could be Gurionov, could be Radulov. Your guess is as good as mine. On the Stars side, I do like Dallas 1 tonight. I'm ready to get hurt again. Like, they haven't been great recently, but they're coming in at 8%. Going into that Scheifele, Wheeler, Stasny line, they're below water. Like, this has to be a breakout game for them. If you're going to use them, that's what you're hoping anyway. Like, I don't know. Maybe Pavelski's just getting old and he's got those tired legs in the middle of the season, but I feel like this is a good spot where they're not 20%. Like, most of the time you're getting Dallas 1 really chalky. So Dallas 1 for me, Winnipeg 2, Winnipeg 3.
The problem I have with Winnipeg here tonight is Dallas has a great penalty kill and they don't take a lot of penalties. And Winnipeg really needs power. I mean, empty net too, but Winnipeg really needs power play to really get there. So I don't know if I'm going to get to a lot of Winnipeg here tonight. I think if I do anything, it'd be some bits from that third line, Kopp, Lowry, and Ehlers. I think they might end up getting some top line matchups, but I don't think it really matters that much. It's not going to be like a super hard match. So I don't mind a little bit of that Winnipeg 3, but I agree with you. I think this would be about Dallas 1. Dallas is one of the most power play reliant teams in hockey for their scoring. Power play hasn't been great of late, but Winnipeg has also been one of the most penalized teams in hockey over the last 6 weeks, like just behind Carolina. So I think the Dallas top line can definitely get there. So that's where I am on that game. Dallas top line, maybe some Winnipeg 3. Going to skip right to Odd Shopper. I talked about Odd Shopper a little bit earlier in the show. Odd Shopper is a service here at Awesemo.com where if you're into sports betting, you can kind of shop around for your sports bets. I was looking at some of the props for players that we were talking about. Nikita Kucherov, his shot prop is 3.5, but we have him projected for 3.7. So it seems like we have him projected better than Vegas. So maybe worth taking a look both in DFS and for bets. Same thing. We'll talk about Vegas next. Same thing with Shea Theodore, 2.5 shot prop. We have him projected for 2.9. Let's talk about that Vegas game here, Josh. We have Vegas with a 2.9 implied goal total going into Anaheim. The Ducks have a 2.7 total. Anaheim is going to send out their third line against the top line. It's just, I don't know if they're going to consider Eichel or William Karlsson's line the top line. That's just kind of the problem here. I'm going to say flat out the only line that I have significant interest in is that Vegas second line. They've been really great. 57% of the shot share, 62% of the scoring chances since February 1st. They're absolutely rolling. I don't care what their matchup is against Anaheim. I like Vegas too. What do you like?
I mean, the Lundestrom Silfverberg Steel matchup would be elite for them, but like the Getzlaf Terry Henrique matchup is still fine for them. So I'm in on Vegas too. You would assume, the Lundestrom line is going to take the top comp, but then Getzlaf's going to take the other top 6 lines. So that leaves Milano, Zegras, Raquel against bottom 6 matchups of Vegas. They're depleted injury-wise, so I do have some interest in both second lines here tonight. Milano, Zegras, Raquel did have a good sample together way earlier in the year. They were excellent together. They haven't been together for a while for whatever reason. I know Milano was hurt. I don't know. But at 2%, I think you can take a stab on them. Both second lines for me.
Yeah, I will also say watch out for something from Vegas. They called up a minor league forward. We know they've had injuries through the years, so we'll see if something else has cropped up, but we obviously don't have anything like that right now. All right, we got to get out of here. Before we do, if you guys could, please throw us a like and click that subscribe button in the chat. It'll really help us out a lot. And don't forget, we have a bunch of NBA coming up. We have Locks Before Lock at 4:30 Eastern with Greg and Savoca, and then your NBA double dose of the deeper dive and Live Before Lock comes up right after that. All right, Josh, time for hat trick picks and goalies. I'm going to ask you for yours in a second. My hat trick pick for tonight, might be stealing yours. I don't know. Mika Zibanejad, my hat trick pick for tonight. And the goalies that I like, Elvis Merzlikins, John Gibson, and if you want to get a little bit spicy here, Kaapo Kähkönen.
I was going to say Chris Kreider, so we're both on the Rangers here. I agree with you on the goalies. My hat trick pick, keep scrolling.
Okay, Limp Bizkit.
Jake, that's a band, not a movie. I'm gonna go Jonathan Marchessault.
All right, there you go, Jonathan Marchessault. Mika Zibanejad, your hat trick picks for tonight. Remember, Locks Before Lock coming up in about 90 minutes, I believe. We will be back tomorrow to talk about the Saturday slate. So until then, for Mike, our producer, for our single entry assassin, Mr. Joshua Harris, and Michael Clifford saying good luck tonight, everybody.